Hello and welcome to a completely different thing. This is a game I have been following since quite early on. This is a Paradox published game, Surviving the Aftermath, and this is kind of a sequel to Surviving Mars, only not really. It's the kind of next title in that series, but they're not actually that related. Surviving the Aftermath is made by a different studio than made Surviving Mars, which was Haemimont Games, who previously had made a bunch of the Tropico games, and that kind of previous city building experience really shone through. But Surviving the Aftermath is made by a completely different studio that I've completely forgotten the name of, which is not here. I don't know. It's somewhere. Hang on, I can probably look that up. Well, this is a really professional start. I looked this up, and then, forgot. So yeah, it's basically published by a different studio who pitched it to Paradox Games, and Paradox were like, okay, sure, we can fit that in as a follow-up to Surviving Mars. And it's only still available on the Epic Store at the moment while it's in the kind of early access phase, but once it's out of that, it will be available for everybody. I'm gonna have to look this up online, aren't I? I thought it would be on the Epic Store thing, but no, the Epic Store page is not that useful, because the Epic Store is just not that useful. No, that's Founders Edition. I don't want to know that. Paradox, you'd think the Paradox thing would have that on. Let's see, it's actually on the Steam coming soon wishlist page thing. It's by Iceflake Studios, and I think they're Scandinavian. It's Iceland or somewhere like that they're based, but this is their first big game, basically, of Surviving the Aftermath. So considering it's their first big game, it's actually quite good. There's been quite obviously a lot of input from Paradox, and you can see the stuff that has been added to kind of mechanically follow on from Surviving Mars. But what's there? I've seen this covered previously on YouTube in much earlier versions. What's there has been kind of described as like the Fallout 4 settlement building, except it's kind of more like a city builder in style. Well, it is a city builder, so it's that kind of vibe, that kind of aesthetic. Finish, yes. Finish sounds right. I want to say Finish. So we're going to go with the new game because I actually haven't played it in the latest big update. We'll leave on tutorial messages, I guess. The previous update added a whole bunch of stuff to the overworld map. And this update has added some stuff to kind of the early game stage where you're very first getting set up. So what we're going to do is we're not going to make it too difficult, because I'm still kind of a noob, but it's not that difficult a game to, like, early on some of the disasters were a bit harsh. This is one of the things that's been going through early access, is a lot of things have been tweaked and balanced and changed, and there was a particularly wonderful bug early on where it would get stuck in certain disasters, so you would just have never-ending disasters that wouldn't end, and eventually everybody would die. So that was fun, but they did fix that. So we'll go for kind of a medium fertility setting, which is fine, and we'll go for, I guess, I'll just go for most of the middle settings. Ideology. Okay, this is... What kind of a leader are you? Lots more options in the tech tree. So I wonder if this is... I think this is new. I don't remember this being here last time I set up a new game. Get more out of what you've got. Keep the colony running and growing. Discover more in the colony and around it. Let's try that one. Wasteland Explorer. That's not really a difficulty setting. That just seems to affect... Well, we'll see what effect that has on gameplay. So this is a little bit like the system in RimWorld. I say a little bit. I think that's kind of the inspiration for it, but I don't think it's really implemented in the same way. But essentially, yeah, you can adjust the difficulty of the events that pop up. So this is kind of like easiest, and then you've got kind of a bit more challenging, and then you've got more challenging and chaotic, apparently. So let's go with this survivalist difficulty. Select your starting group of specialists. Now this is definitely new. Specialists are special named citizens that can go out into the overworld and explore. They don't do stuff within the colony itself. They only have a function outside, and there are differences in them, as you can see from the different values, but honestly this is one of the areas where it doesn't actually make that big of a difference. Somebody with a higher research skill, for example, will be able to pick up more research points in one go, whereas somebody with a higher attack value is better at attacking bandit encampments, for example. There's also this leadership value, which is clearly a placeholder. It says it doesn't do anything just now. So at some point they will have some effect on the colony when you're actually in the colony view. But at the moment, in the current version, it is literally just you use them to explore and pick up resources. So yeah, does it really... I guess we'll just go with people who have the most action points to move around on the map. And well, that's two of them. Maybe go with someone who's more of a fighter. So I tend to group up.
So be it.
The
Jedi.
The explorers I get anyway. Evil Tim with the resub, thank you very much. Where are the boats? There are no boats in this game, I have to say. Also Ralak with a resub as we were starting the stream. So I'll let you choose, chat. We'll go with... Well, I've got various options here, but what are we going to call this colony? That kind of looks... that looks kind of vaguely cult-like, doesn't it? Let's stick with the orange background, I guess. So what we're going to call this colony? With the Empire Balance. With the Inner Hebrides. I like that one. Although the Inner Hebrides does actually exist, but I don't know. The Inner Outer Hebrides, maybe? Yeah, let's go with that. Oh, it's too long. Well, that's no fun. Oh, Hebrodes, I can spell. Inner Outer Hebrides, there we go. That'll have to do. The Upper Hebrides? I don't know, that kind of works as well, I suppose. Right, colony motto. What suggestions? St Kilda. St Kilda was the island I was tweeting about, Ralak. Which is way out beyond the Outer Hebrides. That's basically the furthest occupied bit of Britain, or it was for a very long time. In RNG we trust. I like that one. Okay. Oh, again, I can spell. So I'll capitalise. Oh. Capitalise the thing. There we go. In RNG we trust. I kind of liked Upper Hebrides, actually. I'll go with the Upper Hebrides. So we're on 67% difficulty, so it's kind of middling difficulty. And that means that you'll get more disasters, more bandit attacks. and it means that the actual building area, the colony area, is going to be a little bit less hospitable. You'll also have to let me know what the sound levels are like. I haven't actually gone and fiddled with the sound settings since the last time I played this, and I've not streamed this before, so I don't know if it's set too loud or too quiet. So this is all new to me. We're starting off in, here we are, the Upper Hebrides. So this is the overworld map, which we'll get to momentarily, but this is our colony on the overworld map. There we go, in RNG we trust. We can just scroll in and out basically, and I have to remember it's right click to... It's always confusing because you play different games, and some games it's like right click, and some games it's middle click to move around, but this one it pans the camera, and some games it's left click to move around, but this time it's selecting units on the thing. So these are our starting specialists that we've selected, just standing around in this empty field at the moment, and this is the kind of the new start, because previously you started off with basically a small kind of bunker area. I'm gonna have to get used to the fact that, yeah, there we go. I don't want to scroll out too much because it then puts you into the overworld map. So what do I do?
What do you want?
Build a gates. Oh yeah, of course. We can't actually send them onto the world map yet because we need to build this thing here. But first we need to get settled, so sure. I think we'll have to run through the tutorial stuff first. Specialist controls, so it's just... You can actually send them around the place. And you can't do this with most of your citizens, but you can with a select few professions. I think basically anybody that's like acting as a guard can send around the place. So some of this stuff is new to me. So, right. Campsite. So this is a new thing. Command your specialist to build it. So I think they're supposed to be like scouting ahead of your main group of survivors. And so this is kind of like the very first building that you're building. The different colours on the ground, by the way, these are your different levels of fertility. So this is completely infertile ground, this is moderately fertile ground, and the darker grass is the most fertile, and that's where you want to put your farms and stuff. These glowing areas are radiation / pollution. They seem to be kind of a bit of both. So let's put down this campground area, and do we just right click these guys? Command your specialist, so okay. Right clicked on it, presumably that will get them to build it. We don't have any starting materials, but I'm presuming this doesn't need any materials to build. Sound levels are pretty cromulent. Okay, good. Yeah, the Inner Hebrides is where they make all the whiskey, basically. Oh, didn't mean to click there. I wonder if this means specialists can now participate in constructing buildings generally, because that's something they haven't really been able to do up until this point. In previous updates, if you have the specialists resting in your settlement, they basically just hang around getting healed. So there we go, that's a starting campsite area. It doesn't really seem to matter where you build it. So, preparing the colony. You built the first building of your settlement and unlocked new buildings to make this plot of land more than just a piece of common wilderness. Nearby, a group of colonists is waiting for your signal. The colony needs to be well prepared for them to survive, so efficient constructing is of paramount importance. Okay, so what do we want to build next is the question. Is there something we need to build for them to actually appear? Or... Okay, so specialists can now operate as workers, so we'll... It's kind of... I suppose this is more tutorial-ish than it was previously, starting you off with just a few units, nothing built, and basically telling you, okay, here's how you do stuff. So we'll set one specialist gathering berries, we'll set one gathering concrete, and we'll set one gathering wood. Now, a bit like Frostpunk, you basically start off with these surface deposits, as it were, which are your kind of early resources, and later on you have to build more complex chains. We blew up the world again. It's never actually quite clear what catastrophe has taken place in this game, because there are various things that can happen, much like Surviving Mars had meteorites and sandstorms and things, which were just a, you know, kind of consequence of being on Mars. In this case, you have asteroids falling from the sky, but you also have nuclear fallout storms, you have heat waves, and you can have periods of plague and pestilence. So it's not quite clear. It just seems to have been some combination of all of these things that happened at once, I guess. So, yeah. I mean, maybe there was a great plague of rickrolling or something like that, and that was the ultimate cause of the collapse of mankind. And it would be nice if you could, like, much like with Surviving Mars, where depending on what colony area you pick, it gives you the kind of the option of exactly what disasters you will face, or what challenges you will face in terms of dust storms or cold snaps. It would be interesting if you could have some kind of power over, or you could select which disasters were going to be more common, because at the moment it's basically completely random. So it's also telling me I can speed up time. It's fine. I can just use the 1, 2, 3 keys to do that, and you can also pause the game. So we're gathering supplies, and I think what we'll probably want to do is build storage, because the campsite has got some built-in storage, but it doesn't have that much. It's basically full. This is just, I guess the starting supplies it gives you, and each of these slots can only carry so much. So yeah, we'll probably want some storage, which I think is free, but also it's saying build a water source, which is probably also a good idea. So we have either a water collector, which requires a person to work at it even, or a water well. And that needs to be and again, this is a mechanic clearly carried over from Surviving Mars, the kind of suitability of where you put stuff. So here it's only going to be kind of 2/3 efficient, whereas here it will be maximally efficient and give the full 12 units of water. So yeah, and just like with the some of the buildings in Surviving Mars, if you have things overlapping too close to each other, it impacts on their efficiency. How's Sam? Sam is fine. He's actually lying on his spot on the other desk, the other table that's next to my computer desk. I have ordered a webcam, what should be a very good quality webcam, but it won't be dispatched until something like mid-September, so it'll be a little while before the Sam Cam arrives, but the Sam Cam will get here eventually. Is this a Paradox game? Yes, this is published by Paradox, and I don't know if it's coming out later this year, but I think it's sooner rather than later. It's been in early access for a while now, and the current update is something like their 9th major update, so yeah. Right, food production, and build a trapper or a fisher hut. So it wants me to do that next. And so this is a bit like it's kind of a mix, like Surviving Mars, and then some of the ideas from stuff like Banished, if anyone's ever played Banished. Whether it's that same kind of levels of starting off with gathering stuff and then building up your infrastructure and kind of trying to hit the sweet spot in terms of kind of not overextending too quickly, and you know, causing mass starvation or getting to a position where you run out of supplies during a disaster, for example. But I have to say, Banished is a lot harder in that respect. This game is kind of a lot more casual than something like Banished, although Banished does have various kind of difficulty levels. I'm trying to find a good spot for this. For the Trapper, you want it to be around lots of woods. Basically, the more of a wooded area it's in, the higher efficiency it is. Because that's obviously where all the kind of animals and things live. So, looks like we can get... Oh, there's a spot that's 100%. It's a bit out of the way, but that will do for now. And there we go. So that's somebody that's finished building, finished collecting rather. I think they've finished collecting. So can we... Do we have to manually assign them to build? Yes, okay. I think with the specialists starting out, you have to manually assign them. You don't have to do that with your colonists. Once your proper colonists get here, they just... Much like Banished, and I think this game has taken some inspiration from the design of Banished. You have a kind of general labour pool that is made up of anybody that's not working at a specific building, essentially. So you have that element of personnel management as well. Banished, I keep meaning to go back to Banished because there was a mod that Fierce Mouse. It's a mouse of unusual size, you guys. Yeah, you had for a while a kind of mod collection that was called, what was it, Colonial Charter, and then that sort of morphed into a total conversion style mod that I don't think it's even properly up to date on Steam. I think you have to go to the forums or whatever, and it basically adds a heck of a lot of stuff. So yeah, I keep meaning to go back to Banished because it's fun trying to hit that curve where your population is growing enough to survive, but you're not overextending to the point of collapsing everything. Right, so that's the Trapper built. We don't have anyone working there just now. Can we assign people? I don't think the specialists can be assigned. I think they can only build. So he's building a well, so now it's saying build shelters. And you essentially have two different kinds as you progress through the tech tree. You've got the small shelters, which people they're kind of happier because they're more like single family homes or homes for as the tech goes up, as the buildings you can build get better and sturdier, more people can live in them. But you always have this split between smaller buildings and kind of like bigger communal buildings, which are, you know, more efficient to build in terms of materials, but people are a little less happy to live in them, and they're more likely to reproduce when they're living in the smaller ones. But I think for the very basic versions, it doesn't have that much of an effect. So we'll actually start off with the large emergency shelter, and let's just plonk one down relatively close to the gate. Why not? Kind of doesn't really matter where we build it in terms of the terrain that it's on. So I think we can speed this up a bit. I don't know why it's quacking, by the way. Areas of effect. So yeah, a lot of the things have these AoE things that you can actually move around, which we'll be able to see when we build, say, storage. We can build a basic stockpile. I think stockpiles are completely free in terms of... let's squeeze that in. Be fine. Don't actually require any resources to build. That's that built. Well, that's basically functions as kind kind of basic open air storage. There are more upgraded versions of storage you can build, so you can build like food storage, which specifically is for food, and a warehouse which can house different stuff, like refined things that you make, but I think they can go in the basic stockpile as well. Or can they? I'm not actually sure. Cannot store food or more delicate resources. I guess that is stuff that cannot go in the warehouse. So we'll also build food storage. So yeah, at the moment, not collecting anything, but if we click move work area, we can actually increase or decrease the work area. We can, say, cover several of these surface deposits. And so anybody that is not currently doing anything else, anyone that's in the general work pool, as opposed to working in a building, will go and collect stuff from that area as a kind of, you know, lower priority task. Plastic and metal. Click here to learn more. So this is basically just, here's your basic resources, which is what all these things at the top are. And then you've got your more kind of refined or manufactured resources, or in some cases, fun box. These are basically, you know, old world materials, books and DVDs and whatever else. I don't. Would DVDs be much use? I mean, it'd be like, oh look, a shiny thing. I guess. Yeah. It would be, I guess, mostly reading materials or whatever, and you can only find those out on the. If I scroll out, no. See, now I want to scroll out and go onto the world map, and it's not letting me for some reason. You can only find these out here when you're exploring. I've never actually played RimWorld, so it's kind of hard for me to make a direct comparison. Basically, this is where you do all the building, and I'll show you once we get to the stage of exploring the world map. But it's all these different zones. It's basically, you know, split up into these little territories, and each of these territories will always have a resource of some kind, such as here, the one you're starting with. But sometimes those can end up being dangerous, so you can have your scouts or fighters or whatever that you've sent out getting injured and even dying potentially. And if they die, all the resources they're carrying get lost. So you really don't want that. But there's nothing's going to chase them down on the world map, for example. So it is basically, if you get greedy and try and play the odds, it can backfire, so you just have to learn to be cautious. So it wants me to build, okay, it actually wants me to build stuff, that's why that's still there. So recycler and scrapper, which are specific production buildings for getting, well, plastic and metal, as you might imagine. So let's build one there. I don't think there's any particular system where it's you know, saying, oh, this is a desirable neighbourhood, this isn't a desirable neighbourhood kind of thing. I don't think that pertains to this game, so we'll set that. So when some people come in, those berries will get gathered. And that was a scrapper. Oh, we also want a recycler. The other main material resource early on is wood. And wood's a little more complicated in that it's not just collecting what's there on the map. You can actually get a forester going as well, so they can plant trees. So that's actually basically your most sustainable resource, just like Banished. You're never going to run out of wood on any given map. Invite colonists. So apparently we're just about ready. When you feel having built enough, when you feel having built enough, yes, when you feel having built enough. Was this written by me? That grammar is so good. It is time to invite the inhabitants in. Send a signal to the colonists by clicking the campsite and choosing shoot the flare. Okay, so this is a campsite thing. Goes wee up into the air. And we should get a bunch of people turning up. So this is your initial group. Oh, I thought they might drive up to the gate or something, but no, they just kind of spawn in. So that's automatically assigned someone to that and that and that. So we need to move the work areas for these. Move work area there it is. So there is a deposit there. That's relatively nearby. You don't have to worry too much about the radiation. They will avoid the radiation themselves, kind of their own cognizance. This building here, however, I've just realised we've built that next to a pollution patch, so we might have to... That actually kind of seeps over. I think that's a new thing in the last update or two, where it being next to a pollution patch actually causes the building to become contaminated, and presumably that would mean anyone working there would potentially be contaminated as well. So we might have to demolish that, in fact, and build that a bit further away. Why did I click on the map button? I don't know, it's complicated. Let's see, Trapper. Well, we can still build it relatively close by, but it's just not going to be as efficient. And hopefully that won't be getting subjected to radiation. So we maybe also want to build some dedicated water storage, of which there's two kinds. There's basically water for people and then water for buildings. So that I think only got introduced in the last couple of updates. So some buildings require to be like they have to be in the radius of a water tower in order to actually function. So we only are producing enough, like we're kind of zeroed out on in terms of water, so we also do want another water well, just so we are actually getting a net gain of water. You can see somewhere, here we go. It's one of my gripes with Surviving Mars early on, was that there was a real paucity of information in terms of finding out what was going on, which had seemed to me odd at the time, because Hamimon, having made a bunch of Tropico games previously, which had very good information available to the players to what was going on their island, Surviving Mars had almost nothing in comparison, and it got better eventually. But this game has learned from that mistake, and so we can see how we are in terms of kind of vital resources, how many buildings we have, how many shelters, how many are damaged, how many colonists we have, average health. We can see need, so we have people who we need to build more shelters. We can see some of our colonists are children, what kind of professions they're doing. I think we can see resource income and outgoings. So at the moment, this also includes building costs, so it's maybe not that easy to distinguish in terms of some resources, but water, for example, or food, consumption 10, production 0, so we need to get producing at least 10 food. We have 6 colonists that are just schlepping things around at the moment, so we can maybe build a few more buildings that actually require colonists to run as well. So let's build another shelter there, and I think we'll also build a fishing hut, just so we have another food source going on. Oh, I keep forgetting you can use WASD to move around. You can also right click to move around, but if you right click while you have the building placement tool down, it actually makes it disappear. That's why I keep doing that. Right, do I need to have it this way around? There we go. So we can fast forward that, and hopefully we'll get some food going soon. That is hopefully not going to be contaminated. We can take care of these contamination areas later. And one thing we can also do, which doesn't have that much of an effect early on, but as the once roads improve a bit, they'll generally try and take roads because roads are faster. And again, I think that's true in Banished. It's probably true in lots of games. Colonists know it is infected. Right, we need to build medical tent to deal with sickness. There's no, outside of the specialists, there isn't any kind of some colonists, doctors, and some of this and some of that. Basically, any colonist can go in any building, and so it might seem a bit odd that you can stick literally anyone in and suddenly they're a qualified surgeon or an expert fisherman. But yeah, there isn't any kind of specialization in that regard. It's not that people get better over time at doing a thing. It's just they're kind of always exactly as good as when they start, and that might change later on. This is still an early access game, but for now it's the case that it doesn't really matter who goes where. So that is working with 100% efficiency. We should be getting food coming in. Production 6, consumption 10, so consumption's still higher. This we can actually move the work area around a bit. Let's see if we can find some area of higher efficiency. There we go, so that's better. I should have remembered with this actually, this is one where you can move the work area, so it doesn't necessarily need to be exactly in the spot itself of highest efficiency, because the work area can move. But some buildings can't. So we lost a colonist, because we didn't get this built in time to treat that colonist, so unfortunately we're a colonist down already. And there's now just a corpse lying around the place, so what we have to do is build a burial pit. And it's basically a graveyard where bodies will get taken, because if bodies are left lying around, they aren't very happy about that, and it can maybe spread disease. I'm not sure that it can or not, but it certainly has an effect on colonist happiness. Insufficient material, so what are we missing? Not quite enough plastics. We have to wait for that to be produced by our recycler, because they're only producing 6 per day at the moment. You will get these bottlenecks, especially early on, and there's not a huge amount you can do about it, but later on you can trade. Yeah, it doesn't actually matter. It might do later on. They might change it so it matters what buildings go where, but it largely doesn't seem to matter. It's not like the Impressions city builder games where desirability was a big factor when you were building your cities, or even things like SimCity or City Skylines, where there is pollution produced by buildings that lower health. You do get some buildings that produce pollution, but it basically produces building contamination that you have to take care of. But there is then later on a building you can build that kind of takes care of that for you automatically. Yeah, at this point, yeah, everyone's probably just glad to be alive. Right, the little friend has been lost. So this is one of the random events that can pop up. A bit like Frostpunk. They aren't quite as consequential as Frostpunk, but they can still have some effects, like, you gain a few extra resources, or maybe a colonist gets injured or something. Right, so a kid can't find her cat. Send a search party. Sure. So they found the cat, but the cat wasn't very happy. This is quite an appropriate event, actually, having recently acquired a fuzzy friend myself. So two colonists, in fact, have been injured by this cat. So they're now going to get patched up. Yeah, apparently this was a rather angry cat. So 8 out of 10. Your colonists. What's he got to say about my colonists? Total population, directly controlled colonists. Yes, I was just saying that for the most part colonists do their own thing. And it's more that you assign workspaces rather than putting people specifically, because I can like close, I can empty that workspace, or I can no, I think that is actually just, some buildings you have like a thing that's like turn off the building, but in this case it's just booting somebody out of the work slot that determines whether it's actually occupied or not. Right, surely they must have enough plastic by this point. Dead colonists. Yes, I know, we have a dead colonist. So they can spread disease according to this. So presumably if they hang around too long, other colonists can get sick. Ooh. That's fine, just left them where they fell. 6 out of 9. So we still need some extra food production. Later on we'll be able to build farms, but at the moment it is literally just kind of gathering. Although you do make some of it up by gathering berries, but berry bushes don't have a huge amount of resources to them. Right, so come on, get the plastic. Let's get this burial pit finished. Was it my cat? No, my cat's actually very good natured. Okay, so we're having a random disaster pop up already. I don't think... It seems to be mainly damaging buildings. I don't think I've ever lost a colonist to being hit by a meteor. And as you build sturdier buildings, they sort of take less damage, essentially. But we're essentially, with this early stage of the game, we're working towards building the gate so we can send specialists out onto the world map. Colonists want to go exploring. Sure, let them go try. The boat they took sank halfway through, and the colonists were unable to rescue the gathered equipment, so basically we just lost some stuff. Okay. Prepare for disaster. There's not really a lot I can do. Some disasters, like the meteor shower, it's basically repairing as you go along, but the heat wave, for example, it's a case of making sure that you have enough water, and also apparently we need to decontaminate these, and make sure that any crops you have in the fields get harvested before the disaster hits. Same with pestilence, only in that case it's making sure you have enough medical tents and hospitals to treat everybody. But for the meteor shower, it is literally just repair stuff. Yeah, I could be dead wrong there. I could end up with, a whole bunch of colonists getting smacked in the head by meteors and being proved dead wrong. But anyway, hopefully I'm not. I think we will attempt to build another fishing hut for now. Oh, I keep doing that. I keep right-clicking to move around, and of course it doesn't like you doing that when you have the building selected. Now I'll actually stick that as a lower priority, although I think it's plastic we need, so we have concrete and wood at the moment. That's not an issue, so that's not really overlapping. But yeah, you can designate, like I can say I want this built first kind of thing. I can't remember if you could do that in Surviving Mars, but that was certainly a feature of Tropico, the various Tropico games. I don't think Surviving Mars had that kind of building priority. I haven't actually fired up Surviving Mars in a little while. It's a relatively fun game, but it never got too deep in terms of its mechanics. It was always kind of a bit on the casual side, shall we say. It was kind of a themed city builder rather than any kind of survival hardcore thing. And honestly, so far this is sort of the same thing. It's a themed post-apocalyptic settlement builder rather than
Jedi.
a hardcore, you must balance all the resources, otherwise everybody dies, like Banished. But more casual is not necessarily a bad thing. Oh, a new sub. Oh, well, this is an interesting one to try and pronounce. Armestetinus. Stetinius? Or is it Aramestetinus? Stetinius, I can words. I mean, to be fair to me, that's not exactly the easiest word to say. But anyway, thank you very much for the sub. I do appreciate it. Arime, okay. Arime Stettinius. Got there in the end. So let's fast forward. They really are taking a long time to gather this literally last 2 bits of plastic. In fact, we've even got the plastic gathered, it's just they hadn't brought it there. Okay. We've only got a fairly small general labour pool at the moment, the carriers, so I suppose it's understandable things take a little bit longer. So now we've done that, we've got somebody working at the burial pit. They will go and fetch the body. There's the meteor shower. They'll go and fetch the body any time now. There we go. And you can basically, like, unless you have somebody dead sat around, you can toggle that off. So this is a meteor shower. Big flaming rocks coming from the sky. A bunch of buildings that are going to need repaired, which obviously sucks up the materials. And if they get too damaged, they get destroyed completely. So we have somebody that actually has gotten injured. I don't know if they can get killed, but injured's not nice. Later on, I was saying you can kind of have buildings that auto-decontaminate. You also get buildings that, well, it's the same building, in fact, that auto-repairs anything in its radius. Oh, so we've lost the scrapper, so we have to rebuild that completely. Which is slightly annoying, because we'll have to spend the resources doing that again, but what can you do? No deaths, though. We did lose 1 building, so that was mildly annoying. It's death. How's things in Bonnie Jockland? Things are okay, you know, just flaming rocks falling from the sky, just the usual thing. So, can we... Are we still going through the tutorial stages? So yeah, I've built the different things, although I probably could build a warehouse. Just for slightly sturdier storage than we have already, and it might even move some things from the campsite storage, because the campsite presumably isn't as tough as a warehouse. So we'll do that, but we'll make that a low priority. And our fishing hut is being repaired, so that's fine. That needs to be repaired, but it needs plastic. I don't think you can prioritize repairs. Presumably if I've made that lower priority, that will get repaired first. I don't know. Insufficient materials for scrapper. What are we lacking? Concrete. We do have the concrete ruin. Oh no, that's a wooden ruin. So we need to actually move work area. There are large concrete ruins, but that's obviously a house. So yeah, we'd run out of concrete because we hadn't been collecting it. And it's that same labour pool of 3 people that's doing all the moving stuff around and gathering things and repairing things and building things. So you do need a decent sized labour pool. You always need a couple of people to keep things running efficiently. Otherwise you end up with that being a significant bottleneck. So that's fine. I'll have to keep an eye on that. It's not getting contaminated quite as quickly, but it is still picking up some contamination. So that's getting repaired. That's fine. That's been totally repaired. Now water storage is actually filled up, so we'll want to build another water storage at some point, because however much water storage you think you've got, it's never enough. Outhouse. Oh yeah, this was a relatively new thing. Basic hygiene. So keep the outhouses away from water sources to avoid contamination. Causes pollution. So we don't want to stick it right next to that, for example. Where should we stick the outhouse? Somewhere that's not too close to anything. And basically that just, you'll have to hit that decontaminate button every so often. That's plastic. We'll put that down there because I think the warehouse is a higher priority than that. Damaged buildings. Yes, we know. Click the repair button and hey presto, it repairs things. Like magic. Right, replace that work area. Not sure why that Fisher hut is permanently highlighted right now. I think that's just a little graphical glitch. And are we just waiting for the next tutorial pop-up? Or I'm not sure what we're waiting for at the moment. What do we need for the... so there, the gates. We need 20 wood, 15 concrete. So we basically need to gather materials. We're actually almost out of... we are fully out of wood at the moment, so I think we're only getting that from stuff that we're picking up. We don't actually have enough free labour to go and plonk down a forester, so we're going to have to rely on gathering for a while longer. Oh, colonist under attack. Right, this can happen. This is a relatively new thing. So what we can do is pause. If people are gathering, they can get attacked by hostile creatures. So in this case, rat beetles. I don't... yeah. I mean, it's better than death claws, I suppose. So what we can do is... oh, I zoomed out too far. Try and select all our... Can we get them all in one go? There's no kind of summon all button, but we basically bring them over here. They're the only ones that are armed in any way. Have we selected those? Oh, right click to, okay. So yeah. The colonist seems to actually be doing okay, but it's more usually they get ganged up on by several things and that causes the problem. So these are the only people we can directly control at the moment, but later on you get people that you can assign to like watchtowers that have guns, and you can summon them in the same way. So they're injured. The only annoyance here is your colonists don't try and run. They don't flee. You'd think they would. No, they'd sit around and fight and then get slaughtered. And the first time I encountered this, it was especially annoying because the colonist died. So the person that was in the burial pit went to try and get the body. They got attacked and died. Another person had automatically taken over the burial pit, so they went to go and fetch the two bodies. They got attacked and died, and I probably lost about a half dozen people before I figured out how to get it to stop happening. So yeah, the game's actually telling you, I guess, a bit better now than it was before. But it was especially annoying because you couldn't say to a colonist, hey, don't go over here. And the game wasn't necessarily explicitly clear about being able to send your watchman to defend your colonists. You can't arm your ordinary colonists. It's not like RimWorld or other games where you can tell your colonists to like pick up weapons to defend themselves with. Right, so food-wise, we're still behind the curve, but only just. And we are we're gathering concrete, but we also need to be gathering wood. So I need to shift this over here, actually. So it's got a small concrete ruin. It's a bit further away, but that's gathering wood and concrete, and both of which we need at the moment. Metal's the only thing we're doing all right for, but we don't really have any buildings that need lots of metal at the moment. Are the rat beetles doing the quacking? No, I think that's just the random noise they've selected for their tutorial pop-ups. So yeah, it's just saying now build the gate. So once that bathroom is built, we'll set the gate to build, and that'll be the next little stage, just gathering materials to build the gate. Because for some reason you can't send your guys out onto the world map before you've built a gate. Reasons. So that goes there. Set that to high priority, so that will take precedence. And yeah, the gate is kind of like your primary defensive structure. You will be able to upgrade it over the course of the game, and as you research technologies, it also acts as a kind of incoming storage space as well, but you can't say to the game, I want you to move stuff from here to here. That all just kind of happens automatically. So yeah, the only way to explicitly remove stuff from a storage building, like for instance this campsite, is if I click demolish, and it will then route all the materials here into the other storage spaces. Okay, a bright wave of destruction. Prepare for a meteor. Prepare for fallouts. Prepare for a fire. Well, that could be anything. This is new. I haven't seen this before. This is some Mama Murphy stuff going on right here. Prepare for fallout. Prepare for a fire. Prepare for a meteor. Bright wave of destruction. It will hit tonight. Wave of destruction? I don't... Fallout, maybe? Black smoke and flames. Seems to have interpreted the signs incorrectly, so that's a new thing. And are we just going to completely lose the shelter before they can put it out? I guess. So yeah, things going on fire. Apparently that's something that can happen now. That's definitely new. So we're going to have to set that to high priority. That's built. Keep an eye on things needing decontaminated. Which is just from kind of general pollution. I don't think there's an overlay for that, but yeah, some buildings cause a bit of pollution in the surrounding area. But it doesn't cause these patches of pollution, it only kind of degrades the building. Pollution deposits, actually telling me a bit about them. So yeah, it's not quite clear. It talks about radiation, but also it's sort of just general pollution. So I don't know. It's kind of implied that it's all radioactive waste, I suppose. So that will get... But that's annoying in that I spent plastic that was something we didn't have a lot of, and then, you know... now a bunch of people are homeless, which they're not enjoying very much. Let's check that. Oh, there is the food stockpile I'm looking for, so that's fine for now. You can build more than one stockpile, sort of covering different areas, but of course you only have the same pool of workers to cover them. We maybe don't even need somebody in the medical tent at the moment, actually, so that's fine. We can unselect that, put somebody back into the general worker pool. It's almost a pity you can't get these people to do things while they're in the colony. They just kind of wander around otherwise. Apart from sending them to go and shoot things, that's all they can really do. Hey, Bubbles. Well, the outhouse is one of the things you need to decontaminate periodically, so... yeah. So this is one of the more kind of boring aspects of the game, especially when you're getting set up, is just waiting for resources to accumulate. I should probably turn the in-game music on, actually. Something I've got... Let's give that a go. I don't like the soundtrack nearly as much as I like the Surviving Mars soundtrack. Well, soundtracks, really. It had multiple different soundtracks you could listen to. And this game, I think, has the similar sort of idea of it has these different kind of sets of music that you can listen to. But honestly, I don't think they're nearly as distinct as the ones in Surviving Mars. In fact, it was Surviving Mars music that I opened the stream with. Can I paint anything orange? Sadly not, no. Although I did make the colony's flag orange. So that's about the limit of the customization. Also, hey Tommaso. Music's not too loud, right? You can still hear me okay? I was kind of guesstimating as to what level I should put it at. I wonder if you can... yeah, you can see people's pathing, but I don't know if you can kind of lock onto them to follow them around. But you do get a little bit of information on individual colonists, and they do have sort of individual variations a bit. So this guy, and later on actually you can build a schoolhouse that gives the kids building the colony this educated trait. So apparently this guy doesn't actually work as well as a medic if he's in the medic building, which is interesting. I think that must be a relatively new thing. Try and click on somebody else. Footless is missing a foot after stepping in an old trap. So that's interesting. Some people might not necessarily work as well in certain buildings, but there's no kind of obvious indicator of that without clicking into their personnel file, as it were. So yeah, we're just waiting for stuff to be produced, really? There's concrete over here, right? Yes, but I guess they're prioritizing the woods? Colonist is injured, so we need to put somebody in there temporarily. Oh, and it's the guy that doesn't like working with, you know, blood. We can't actually choose who works here. Do I like it? Yeah, it's reasonably fun. I would wait till it comes out rather than get it while it's still in the early access stage, quite honestly. But yeah, it's an okay game. A guy wants to make an instrument, so... Please, I've always wanted to make a church organ. Well, we don't have the materials, so we can make a guitar instead, and we get +1 happiness. The happiness system doesn't really seem to do much at the moment, to be honest. I don't know if there's more planned for that, but yeah, at the moment it always kind of seems to average somewhere in the middle. You can build buildings later on that make people happier, but having your populace be happy versus unhappy doesn't seem to really affect anything, as far as I can tell, in terms of like productivity or, you know, likelihood of getting injured or... yeah. We're getting another meteor shower, by the way, so that'll be fun. Don't even have a home for everybody right now. But hey, you know, it's supposed to be a little bit challenging. We're at sort of medium hard difficulty. Production and consumption of food are kind of level at the moment. We do need to get the gate built just so we can get more colonists, essentially, because we're starting to need more colonists to have more functional buildings to support the colonists we do have, if that makes any sense. Right, so this is just eating up even more materials in terms of needing to repair stuff. Oh, okay, we found a kid who's been living in the... Yeah, no, let's throw them out. Right, so... Kids don't actually do anything until they grow up, basically. But they are the workers of the future. That is not looking good. One more hit would have finished that off. Oh no, it was finished off, never mind. Oh, and that... So does that literally set them on fire? That's a new thing. Meteor strikes literally setting buildings on fire. Right, so now we have to replace more buildings. Excellent. What was it? The scrapper. Yeah, we're actually alright for metal, so we'll hold off on replacing the scrapper just now. But we are going to need another fishing hut. Which is 14 wood and 6 concrete. We're never going to get this flaming gate built at this rate. Right, for goodness sake. I think it's a bit of a toss-up whether things have a positive or a negative effect. Like any given event has a chance for either a good thing or a bad thing. Or sometimes a mixed result. Sometimes like the finding the cat earlier, where we found the cat, which increased happiness, but 2 colonists got injured in the process. No option to eat the kid. Sadly, cannibalism isn't an option in this game, which obviously is immensely disappointing. There's just not all that many games that offer cannibalism as an option. Right, a group of aggressive boars. I guess we have no choice but to try and attack them. And... oh, right, okay, colony under attack. So, we need our arms people. All of them together. So this is put actual things on the map that are going to attack us. Angry rad boars. Now this colonist is going to die because you'd think, oh no, they're low health, surely they'll just run away. No, the colonists are apparently too stupid to know to run away when they're about to expire. But we have at least gotten some free venison out of it. So if I move the... oh, that's even within the work area that's already there. Right, so, excellent. We now have even fewer colonists available because they're too stupid to know to run away when they're about to die. But we're going to get some free meat out of it. I think in Frostpunk you had the option of eating the dead as one of the kind of laws that you can pass. But the only game I can think of that actively embraces cannibalism was... Oh, what was it called? Not Fallen London, but the game based in the Fallen London setting. I'm actually going to look that up real quick. Oh, somebody is hurt, apparently. Okay. So now we have precisely one overworked colonist that's doing everything. Yeah, there's kind of like a little universe known as Fallen London. Sunless Sea, there we go. Sunless Sea was the game that Failbetter published that was set in Fallen London universe, and that involved sailing around in an underground ocean on a tiny boat where cannibalism was frequently an option. On RimWorld, I should not be surprised, has lots of cannibals. One less mouth to feed. Yeah, that's true. Well, that needs repaired apparently. Man, just everything needs repaired. Excellent. So, yeah, we're doing really, really well. So we're low on food, everything's falling to bits. Keep getting meteor showers, everyone keeps dying because they're too stupid to run away when they should run away. We haven't collected the body yet. Malnutrition. Yes. People become sick if they only eat potatoes or one thing over and over. Right, we do have somebody actually in the burial pit working there. Oh, it was just taking them a really long time to get round to burying that body. Right, so I'll get 2 people in the worker pool. People are unhappy because they're dying. Get the mouse over for that. Death! Rested poorly. Infected. Poorly nourished. Injured. Yeah, people are not having a fun time. For some reason in my post-apocalyptic colony. So we need to get that rebuilt. And we need to get this damn gate built. Concrete and wood, that's what we're short on. They haven't really collected much of that concrete, so just waiting for materials to be collected, essentially. I should play RimWorld at some point. That looks like it could be a lot of fun. Like there's a lot of ways to slice and dice it, and you can just be fully evil and have you know, slavery, and you can farm. Oh wait, I've just realised I could have set my specialists to collecting things. Oh, of course, because you can set them collecting things early on, so you can still set them collecting things. So I had some extra gatherers hanging around the place that I completely had been neglecting to utilise. But yeah, you can set up slavery and organ farming and do all kinds of evil things in RimWorld. It does seem like one of those games that would maybe suck up a lot of my time. Right, so that might help me out a bit in terms of having a few extra workers, but yeah, you have to kind of really keep on top of them. They can carry a fair bit though. So I wonder if I should dismantle this camp, although it does still... It's basically bonus storage. So I suppose there isn't any particular reason to. So yeah, they don't operate, they won't just go and collect stuff like your carriers will. You have to manually tell them to go get things. And otherwise they just stand around being idle. Okay, so that's slightly fiddly, that's a bit too much micromanagement. Ginge with 450 bits. Thank you very much, Ginge. It is very appreciated. An intruder has been spotted. They're about to get away. Silent thief dressed like an animal who's poached some of my food. Demand the food back. We tell them they'd better give the food back, or else. But they've jumped from a tree to another tree because they are in fact part mutant squirrel and have run off. Okay. Minus happiness, minus a bit of food. Right, we do have someone in the... Yeah, I have to... You have to really keep on top of the contamination thing, which is kind of annoying to start with. But it does give you a nice visual indicator with it starting to glow like that. So concrete and wood, but we only have one carrier at the moment, so that's severely slowing things down. We can maybe temporarily remove somebody, the person working at the recycler. Because these guys will gather materials, but they won't act as ordinary carriers. So let's see what else we can send them. Small piles of things. Hopefully we'll get the gate built. There we go. We don't have anyone injured at the moment, so we can empty that out as well. And also rebuild the scrapper. Yeah, the scrapper. So once the gate is built, which it very nearly is, we can finally get out into the overworld and start collecting stuff. And we'll also start getting new groups of colonists showing up. So, the overworld. Do we have to look at a tutorial thing first? Or maybe? How's it working? Okay, so we're immediately getting some extra colonists showing up. And colonists usually bring another specialist with them. So if you have the resources, you know, the space to cope with it, then you should usually take them in. Because oh, I accidentally pressed a hotkey there. I don't know what for. House there, because I think we have some homeless folks at the moment. So that's being built. We can start to reassign people. But that means we are going to need more food production. So we'll maybe build another trapper. And water's alright for now. Squeeze them in there, I suppose. That's fine. So again, just gathering materials. Those guys did bring some food with them, so that's given us a bit of a cushion. Right, so there's another shelter built. Got one person with radiation sickness. Put somebody in there for now. And adjusting worker slots. Yes, it's really very easy. Let's see if we can actually... how do I do this? Do we have to... Is this different now? Do we have to physically click to send them out? It used to be you would have... And again, this is the thing that's changed just in the last patch. You would just have a list of them there automatically ready to send out, but maybe you have to physically get them to... Gate? Build a gate to spend your specialists to the world map. Okay, I've built the gate. We have got the gate manned. Not entirely sure how to send them out. That doesn't seem to do anything. I must be missing something here, or else it's completely... I don't know. There should be a list of the people that are ready to go on assignment here, and it's not there. So there's the possibility this is a bug. This is early access after all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to save here. And... just that's fine. And I will quickly restart the game. See if that has any effect. Because there have been some interesting bugs as I've been... Oh, that's the wrong thing. There we go. Thanks for tuning in. No, we're not finishing just yet. Yeah, let's restart that. There might even be something in the patch notes that I've missed. They did just say build a gate, and that's how it's worked previously. You just build the gate, and then you have access to the world map. So I'm not quite sure why it's not working now. This is one of the reasons why I said, if you're interested in this game, wait till it launches. Because who knows what stuff might be added in the next few months, and hopefully the launch version will be rather less buggy. Although compared to what it was when it very first came out, like the first playable version that they let people buy and were letting people test, yeah, it's certainly a lot better than that. Oh, no, that's that version we want. Probably should have just deleted all those old saves. It's not like I can load them up. I really wish I had a Sam Cam that I could set up right now, because he looks just downright adorable at the moment. He's all curled up, looking very restful. No, that's not any different. What am I missing? Let's just quickly check the... Where are we? First settlers? Hunting, other improvements. You can actually hunt wildlife. Okay. Outside of the meat that the hunter huts generate themselves. This was the previous big update, which I think I did play a save of. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about... I'm not seeing anything about them having changed the system of sending your people into the overworld, so... I don't know, this is slightly confusing. Very slightly confusing. Well, while that's loading, I'm going to quickly grab myself some more water because my glasses run dry. He's quite chatty. I don't know how audible that was, but yeah, he's a very chatty cat. Although mostly when he's talking to me, he's complaining about wanting to go outside because I'm cruel and I won't let him. Right,
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Should we just play a bit more and see if something pops up? Because something should pop up. Send to the... Did I miss that? Oh, there we go. Send to the world map. It's because I had them grouped, I guess? And it's actually one of the people it's selected is the person that works at the gate, because they're kind of a colony guard. So, right, we have to... Okay, this is the thing that's new that I did not notice. Send to world map. Right. That is a new thing. And I was just being a derp and not noticing that. Right, so, here we go. This is what I was expecting to see. So you've got a bunch of people that you can move around, and they will go and basically collect resources for you. So if I right click on this farm here, they will pick up 25 of the 34 available I think it's supposed to be dried meat. And that uses up the rest of their action points for the turn. So it'll need 2 turns in order to collect all the stuff. Time doesn't progress while you're here. Time only progresses when you're in the colony view. And that's what this little green circle that goes around the map is. That's the kind of the day cycle. So let's spread out a bit. It takes all their points as well to explore new areas. There is a kind of unlimited. There's quite a lot of these areas, but yeah, there is like an edge of the world map. So eventually you will have explored everything. But there are other settlements, other societies that you can find. So the notion is that once you've kind of gathered all the useful stuff, you can then trade with other societies. And some resources, like certain seeds, or presumably, as it intimated when we were looking on the kind of recent patch information from the main menu, getting livestock will need, that you'll need to trade from other settlements to do that. You won't just be able to find that out in the world. Okay, so, well pointed out, Mr. Mikijuk. That's how you pronounce that, right? Apparently that's somebody that's hungry? Starving. Well, we have food. I don't know why they'd be starving. Right, so we're building another hunter's hut. That's fine. That actually needs to work area to be moved. So then one over here. Yes. Oh, well, somebody is affected again already. I think we're just going to have to permanently keep someone there, which is slightly annoying, but, once kids get old enough, they join the labour pool, and we'll start to get other groups of colonists showing up as time progresses as well. In fact, what we'll probably want to do is build some more emergency shelters just as a bit of overflow. So we'll actually set one down as an extra one next to the road. We'll mark that as a low priority. And I think we'll also do another round of moving people around. Now this little warning symbol indicates that this is a possibly hazardous environment, and there we go. So they've taken some damage. The percentage symbol, I'm not entirely sure if I mean it says there, hazards, and then it's one symbol, and then it's 33% chance, but they seem to be kind of inextricably linked. So higher hazards always seem to have a higher chance of triggering. It doesn't seem to be particularly mixed in that regard. Anyway, that location is now emptied out. So we're just sending people around and collecting stuff. That'll take a couple of goes to get that. And they do find, this is one of the things they added in one of the more recent updates, is kind of old world currency. So you can use that when it comes to trading with other places. It's not purely bottle caps. So I think that's all then moved. You will probably be playing this on sort of high speed quite a lot of the time. And I've got to admit, once you get larger groups of explorers, it can get a bit tedious moving them all around. There is a kind of queue system, movement queue system, but it's not super efficient. So that's our first raider encampment. Sometimes you find them blocking resources. In this particular instance, you have to defeat the raiders before you see where the little resource cache is in this particular territory. So we have to fight these raiders first. We're not necessarily going to get resources from what they're sitting on. We then find out where those resources are. So I don't think anything else needs to be decontaminated for the time being. Some people being treated. I think we do have medicine for the time being, but yeah, not a lot. Nuclear fallout, so yeah, we're going to need another medic tent. There's an overflow. That's really all you can do. Once you start getting better shelters, the effects of fallout are greatly reduced, but you can't get rid of it entirely. Hey, Foo! You do get more effective medical buildings later on, and there are technologies. I haven't even looked at the tech tree, but there are techs that I think improve what you can do. This is one of the differences between this and a lot of other games, though. There's no kind of ticking research. There's no tech buildings. The science points are purely found out on the world map. So as you explore around the place, you'll find somewhere that might have, say, 600, 800 science points, which is great. So you kind of get a glut of science and you can unlock a bunch of things at once. And then you might have to wait ages before you find another building that gives you science points. So it's a bit randomized in that way. So, and there we go, we've actually found one fairly early on, 491 science points, so that'll unlock some early stuff. Let's go and have a fight. And we have actually killed them in the first go. And in this case, they were, in fact, sitting on top of the thing that we needed to get to. So that's another load of science. So we'll be able to unlock some stuff quite soon. Definitely needs to be decontaminated. Oh, and we did build that, but we haven't actually moved the work area, so that's not going to be operating at very high efficiency at all. 100%, there we go. So we're now producing more food than we're consuming, which is fine, that's great. Workforce is at a decent level at the moment. We just need that built, basically. Do we have... Yes, the work area is... Okay, we just don't have anyone that's particularly prioritising going and gathering wood at the moment. Right, oh, did we miss the merchant? Oh, we missed the merchant, never mind. I meant to pause it. And anyway, yeah, you sometimes get travelling merchants that'll turn up, raiders that want to trade stuff, random people that want to trade stuff. It can vary a bit. So anyway, science! Shall we gather some science? So between the two of those, that'll be a decent amount of early science. She has already taken some damage. See how she deals against this. Yeah, this is a fight that's going to take a couple of turns. You can only heal them back in the actual colony, so we'd have to bring her back. And that's some metal, that's fine, that's not a super high priority at the moment. So, science! We can unlock some science. Crowbars, what does crowbars get us? That increases the production speed of the scrapper and recycler, so that's useful, we'll have that, and that takes a certain amount of time to research, so it's not just an instant click, you have to actually research stuff. Yeah, the emergency shelter doesn't, but that's all we have at the moment. We don't have the technology to build better things just yet. You eventually can build like proper... I don't know if this is the right... Looking at the right tree, communal living, shanty and tenement. Sure, there's a way of comfortable housing. There you go. So you eventually kind of build like almost proper houses, but that's right at the end of the tech tree. So yeah, we need to put some research into better buildings, but there's all kinds of things competing for, like basic food production. So we can increase the gathering rate. We definitely want to get to basic farming. The heavy tarps, increased durability. Nurses, add a work slot to medical tents, which would actually be really useful right now. Bartering and outposts let us deal with other colonies, so that's less of a priority at the moment. So I don't know, maybe we'll go for farming as the priority, but also having nurses would be really jolly useful. So nuclear fallout. I think, does our food water consumption go up? No, I think that's just during thingies, heat waves. So better make sure we've got somebody there just in case we have people dropping dead. Right. Do we want to try and go for nurses just now? I guess so. Could be useful. Specialists ready for action. Get of that metal, that's a small amount we can get in one trip. There we go, that's that raider beaten. The other two are just gathering more science. Science you don't have to trek back like other materials. The science points are just kind of instantaneous, which is quite nice. There's no kind of gradation of disasters. Like, there's no kind of worse disasters that last for longer, or like more or less intense meteor showers or anything like that. So I don't know if that's something they might consider adding. The disasters are basically fixed in duration and severity. So it would be maybe interesting to be able to maybe have, sort of periods of light fallout versus periods of dire heavy fallout where everybody has to stay indoors or else risks, instant death kind of thing. Right, anyway, that's almost built, which is fine. One of the things that does make a difference is availability of medicine. So there's iodine pills specifically are for treating radiation sickness, and you can still treat people without medicine or iodine pills, but I guess it's just less effective. They're actually bringing with them some iodine pills, so yeah, absolutely we'll take them. They're also bringing some fuel, which is jolly handy. That's a relative rarity. So 5 adults, 1 child, and we've also got another specialist who looks like they can gather more research in one go. So sure, we'll take them in. And one person is homeless at the moment, but we do have another shelter that's being built. So apparently that needs to be decontaminated, as does that. So that's fine, we're actually starting to have a decent group of schleppers, people in the general work pool. So that should almost be built. So we can actually now think about building a forester and logging camp. Yeah, this game is extremely... It's a bit like Surviving Mars. It's that same level of realism. It's extremely light on the realism. At the very start of the stream, I kind of compared it to Fallout 3, Fallout 4, especially the Fallout 4 settlement building, in terms of how it treats stuff like this. So yeah, things are rather less serious than they would be in real life, just because it's kind of... It's a themed game rather than any kind of serious post-apocalyptic survival thing. Right, we actually did finish research, didn't we? So we had nurses, that's fine. Heavy tarps, increases durability. Let's go with... Let's go with farming as the next thing that we push for. And to get to that, we actually increase our production speed for both the fishing hut and the trapper. And we can now put 2 people in each of these, so that increases the rate at which they are treated. Is that actually... Yes, they've emptied that plastic deposit, so that's why that little symbol is showing above the thing. There's actually 2 plastic deposits over there. Now once you empty the surface plastic deposit, you're left with an underground deposit, and you get buildings, excavators that you can construct later on. Small group at the gate. Okay, this is potentially extra colonists. But we could also have just given them some medicine and sent them packing if we had medicine to give them. So now that that is over, we're actually just going to reduce the number of people there. A whole load of buildings to decontaminate after that, unsurprisingly. And we're also going to... we do need more shelter, I believe. 5 colonists are homeless. So that is basically the entirety of that emergency shelter. It's kind of spoken for, so that's fine. So that's the last of that research. That research is also just about tapped out. Rest of that metal. We'll send her back to get healed up, I think. And they can get some tools. Tools are useful, and tools are very like in Banished. People need tools and clothing to work effectively, and if they don't have either, they get unhappy about it, and it impacts their efficiency essentially. Yeah, I wonder how much of that was kind of almost Dwarf Fortress inspired, because it didn't really seem like it was almost nearly as important, but with Dwarf Fortress the kind of professions and the loadout you start off with are extremely important. But both those are actually we'll keep both those buildings running, I suppose. They both seem like they're quite needed at the moment. Back to the world map. So yeah, like I said, this can almost get a bit tedious over time. But there is a certain amount of enjoyment to be had exploring around the place. And you do need to, because until you find other colonies, you basically can't access certain things. Water storage polluted. Yeah, that is... oh, I thought I'd take decontamination. Cat, what are you doing? There's a little furry agent of chaos that's just rattling around and... Cats! Not even once. Not even once. Cats. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Right, we should build another water storage as well, because you think you've got enough water storage, and then a heat wave happens and it turns out you don't have anything like enough. We're actually almost, in fact, we've maxed out our consumption, so we need either a water well or a collector. I guess we'll build a collector. Honestly, I keep pressing the wrong hotkey. There doesn't seem to be that much point in collectors when you can build a water well just about anywhere, but in this case we'll build one just for the sake of it, just so we can show what it does. But I mean, you know, water wells do the same thing, gather the same amount, but don't actually require a person to operate. Back to the world map again. Plastic, wasn't a lot there to get. Right, she's got orders, movement orders queued up, so she should automatically head back. But the annoying thing is, it'll keep saying, "Oh, you've got someone you could move," even though it's you know, it's queued up orders, so that will keep blinking away down in the corner. But I think they'll move automatically, so that's about to tick over to the next period. And yes, she has moved automatically. So it'd be nice if it didn't constantly bug you when you have somebody with orders queued up. It's just a tiny little UI thing that would be nice to have work slightly differently. So otherwise you have this thing that's just constantly blinking down in the corner and grabbing your attention, even though it doesn't necessarily, you know, like it doesn't mean anything. So this is a sector, like I was talking about, sometimes the resources are hidden. This is a sector where we have to take care of these guys before we can see where the resources are. It's not that they're sitting on top of the resources. Right, they're taking their sweet time building this shelter, but I guess we're a bit low on plastic. But there is technology that will let us, in fact, there we go, we'll take farming. Let's build small fields. But yeah, we'll be able to... Is it scavenger teams? Yes, we'll be able to add an extra work slot, so we'll actually be able to get more out of the buildings we've already built. So we'll do that next. He's attacking the sofa now. There are tassels on my sofa, and he likes to play with the tassels when he's feeling playful. It's bugging me. I had to bring her back because it was bugging me. It'd be nice if it did it automatically, but it doesn't. Right, has she just instantly fully healed? I guess she has. It used to take some time to heal, but apparently she's instantly okay. Down there. He's actually my fighter of the group, so I'll send him in. Now he's been a jerk and knocking things off the table. That's what the clattering is. Sam, must you be so stereotypically cat-like? Oh, it's my D&D dice. Okay, somehow he's got my D&D dice out of the bag and is now proceeding to knock them on the floor. Cats! Just not even once. Just don't. They're not worth it. You think they're all cute and fuzzy, and as it turns out, they're just waiting to lull you into a false sense of security until they can be complete jerks. Anyway. He's a D&D cat, apparently. He likes to play D&D. I mean, I guess they're small and round and easy to knock all over the place, so I can see why that would appeal to a cat. Right. Oh, a van approaches. Dan the mystery van man is here. Well, we do have concrete to spare, so let's... give him concrete, and he's given us 10 parts. Sam, what are you doing? This is very distracting. This is very distracting. Yeah, maybe let's build some of the smaller shelters. Or do I want to wait until I've researched the Communal Living? Let's do Communal Living next. Right, how are we doing food-wise? Consuming rather more than we are producing at the moment. So yeah, we need to build some of these farms ASAP. Now you do get some starting seeds, but they tend to be rather low yield. So Let's get a pair of fields built. You do get bigger fields unlocked as well. And let's also just double check. Are we gathering? No, that empty. That work area is now empty, so we need to move that. We can gather some more berries. I'm going to be finding dice everywhere. Sam, leave the D12 alone. Or is that a D100? I think that might actually be a D100. Leave the D100 alone, Sam. Apparently, it makes an excellent cat toy. Oh, we found a cart. Right, I don't know if we can actually do anything with that yet. I think we can. So vehicles, this one's on low repair. You can basically put several people in vehicles, but we don't have yet the colony building that lets us make full use of vehicles. But we can bring it back and it will kind of sit in the colony's inventory until we can make proper use of it. So yeah, this was a couple of patches ago they added this, but it adds the ability to send out groups of colonists and potentially bring more resources back up. Well, can I have my dice back? Thank you. There we go. Right, I've rescued my D100. He's just going to find more to play with. Right, so, yes. Select next. So we have a choice of corn or potatoes. So we'll just go with both. They have different properties. It's exactly like the crops in Surviving Mars. Some grow faster, some give better yields, some are more survivable. How many dice do I have? Just a standard set of dice that you would use for tabletop gaming. I've only got the one bag of dice. I'm not one of these people that has 17 different sets that they use for different characters. Sam, you're a fuzzy jerk.
So
if
be
you
it.
put my dice under the
Jedi.
I will probably pet you and call you cute and fuzzy. It's been like 2 weeks and he's already got me wrapped around his little paw. Just one set. I know, I'm weird. Brett with the Twitch Prime the Twitch Prime sub even. I know what I mean. I know what I mean. Thank you very much. Yeah, I know, I'm a filthy D&D casual. They are a nice, like a nice metal dice set, so they're not like super cheap plastic ones, but yeah.
So be it.
Should we build another
Jedi.
fish hut? Sam! Like, he's immensely distracting. What's that? What have you got now? Is that a D20? Can't tell. Yeah, it's the D20. At least he's not trying to eat them, I suppose. Cats. Not even once. Not even once. Right, Communal Living we've got built. We were also going to do scavenger teams, weren't we? So that's fine. So yeah, we can actually build some better housing at this point. But it's also rather more expensive. Now, one thing that would be nice is if you could directly replace housing. This is something that Frostpunk does, because that also has different levels of its housing. Oh, and Battleship HAL with a sub as well. I missed that one apparently. Yeah, it has like more effective housing as you progress through the tech trees. And what's nice is, let's say you've built your like basic emergency tenement, you could then just kind of click over that in the same place with the same footprint, and it will bring the materials over and upgrade it. And it's slightly cheaper to upgrade than it is to build one from scratch. But this game doesn't let you do that, so we'd have to. You have to kind of build and demolish as you go along. So let's build a tenement there which has space for 8 people. Quite expensive in terms of resources, but once we've built that we can deconstruct some of these emergency shelters, and we can also build some shanties which are much more likely to produce or have people in them that then have their own kids. Let's see if we can beat these guys. You have, haven't you, you little devil? You've got my dice under the sofa. Cats! Not even once! Just don't. It's a trap. It's a fuzzy, cute trap. Yeah, Frostpunk is, it's an interesting game. It's definitely not perfect. Definitely far from perfect, but as a kind of more... Like, as a survival game, it's definitely harder than this game. But there are things that could be done better. There are definitely things where it is a bit irritating in places. As I said on Twitter, someone was asking about, or saying something about me and you know, Jingles becoming crazy old cat ladies, and my reply was, well, I've always been a crazy old cat lady, it's just I haven't always had a cat. Because I grew up with cats. Right, scavenger team's completed. Recoverable materials, production metal +1. Production fibre, pack tactics. Extra work slot for trappers. Happiness +20 from... Let's take... We could even just bypass that completely, to be honest. Peg cost +3, mental training, healing speed +15. That seems like a pretty useful one. Oh yeah, that's just the... See, it catches me out. It didn't need to go on the, you know, the world map for that, but it was blinking at me, so therefore I did. More survivors, accept. Well, we're building more shelters anyway, so that's fine. We need wood. So yeah, that's the thing we were going to do in terms of production. Which is... Here we go, lumberyard and forester. So much like other things, we can build these anywhere, and we can set the work areas elsewhere to where we actually have them built. So where do we want to try and squeeze that in? It's a bit tricky at the moment. Let's have them over here on this rather unproductive bit of land. And right next to them, we're also going to build a forester. And then we're going to build build a road over to them. Because they significantly, well, according to the dev information, anyway, the patch notes, they nerfed the travel speed off-road quite a bit. So we're definitely going to need wood. And food's still an issue, but once the fields start producing, that should hopefully help a bit. Medical training completed. Let's have a look-see. What else did we want? Material walls. Happiness +20. Roof supports. Durability. Well, we'll take that durability thing, and we'll just skip over spending the science points on the shelter durability. Yeah, the DLC were disappointing for Frostpunk, and the fact that it didn't really have any modding support. Like, you look at the amount of mods produced for Surviving Mars, for example. It's not the most popular game, but it still has a reasonably active modding community, and this has that same inbuilt support for mods. And even something like Banished, where it was maybe more niche, there were some still quite involved mods that were produced. So, yeah, they really missed a trick with with Frostpunk in that regard, I think. Got some electronics there, we'll have them in the next mode. We do have somebody that's back in camp as well, so we want to send them back out into the world. them, send them back out. Hello, Sam. Back out to do the things. We actually have the new person we've not sent out yet. This is another settlement, by the way. I don't think we can... Can we contact them directly yet? I think we need to build a trade post first. That's what they trade, though, including carrots and sunflowers, which we don't have access to yet as seeds. They don't like me too much at the moment. They're a bit wary. Yeah, I mean, if you're like a good city builder example, I mean, I talk about Surviving Mars, but if you look at city skylines, the modding community for that is huge. There are loads of mods. I mean, a lot of it is purely just adding more buildings and stuff, but you can have themed cities of, you know, complete eras or locations through mods. Add a lot of stuff. What are you doing, you hooligan? Oh, you brought me my D20. Thank you very much. He's rolled it along the floor for me, which is entirely his intent, I'm sure. Not just knocking it in random directions. I mean, ever since... Oh, I mean, where would it have really started? I guess the generation of games around EU3. So we're talking kind of like the last 10 plus-ish years, Paradox have really leaned into modding. I don't know if modding was such a thing with their prior games. But yeah, that kind of EU3 generation onwards really brought a lot of wider community inclusion into, yeah. Right. I guess we'll take those. Increase our production of various things. Now's the point of me trying to remember which one of these ones are... which ones have queued orders and which don't, because the game isn't necessarily very good at... doesn't really tell you. Some electronics. And... attack the guy. And back to the map. Back to the colony. I can send you off into the world, apparently. That's still waiting for plastic. We probably could put another person into that recycler. I think that would be useful. And maybe build some roads over there as well, actually. That would probably speed things up a fair bit. In terms of travel time, if they can always back and forth quicker. Oh! Colonists under attack! Oh, that's nasty! Sandworm! Have we got anyone I can actually... Let's hastily put another colonist there.
Huh?
Right, these are my armed colonists. Where's the other one? How do I... This is a bit of a failing, like how... I've set somebody else, but I don't know if I've selected them. There he is, right. So I've actually lost somebody, unfortunately. But yeah, I wish there was a hotkey that would let you select your combatants. Now the person that's gone to collect the body is also under attack, and I can't forbid this area. This is the problem I had previously.
Wow.
So you just have to rush your people with guns over ASAP. You can't make your colonists run away. This is one of the major bugbears I still have with this game. because your colonists apparently are incurably stupid. So now colonist Don has died. Excellent. Oh, we can't... Like, run away, Evelyn! Go... Run! Run for your life! Where's the other colonist? That's assigned to the... Oh, no, we didn't mean to unassign them. Oops. Right, they're both there now. But we're also about to lose yet another colonist. And Manuel has come to try and collect the bodies, potentially? Or I don't even know why he's come over here, but yeah. Anyway, have I mentioned that this is bloody annoying? And definitely one of the things that needs to be fixed. Can we do this while we're... It's not costing me anything time-wise. Doing something with a plastic bag now. Where did you even find a plastic bag, Sam? Right, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not getting distracted by a cat at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Right, so now we've just lost... yeah, we're just losing all of our colonists to this one bloody worm thing. Now I have to figure out who the new person is that has a gun. So there's Oscar. We know about Oscar. Where's the other person? Yeah, the game doesn't tell you. This is definitely something they need to improve. Did we also just... Oh, we're about to lose yet another colonist. Because you can't tell them not to come here, you can't tell them to run away. I don't know, it's kind of stupid. Honestly. We might be finally about to kill this thing, but only after it's killed like 5 of my people. Right, for goodness sake. Sandworms OP plus nerf. Yeah, they run up to it and attack, but they don't run away. Even if they don't have any kind of weapons or anything, they just stand there. They just stand there. It's dumb. It's one of the few things about this game that is still just genuinely dumb and annoying. Oh, now that's just annoying, Sam. That's just... Give me that dice. Where is it? Oh, what's this one? A D10. This time it was a D10. Right. So yeah, we just unnecessarily lost a bunch of colonists, it feels like. There wasn't particularly much reason for all those people to die, but they did anyway. And as the player, you really can't do anything about it other than try and get your armed colonists over there. And at the moment, they're only armed with crossbows as well. I think we've run out of guns from whatever guns we had to start with. And this might be a reason to keep some of your specialists actually in the colony, and that they can perhaps fight more effectively. I don't know. Well, that's true, Fu. That'd be like telling them to wear a mask or something that would just, you know, completely infringe their freedom. Can't be doing that. Because my freedoms. Right, he's queued up for movement. It's fine. She's slowly gathering medicine. She can't gather a lot at once. I think we'll send him back soon so he can heal up. Especially given that that just seems to happen instantaneously now. Isn't so much of a hassle. Oh, a heat wave. Right. Food stockpile. I don't know how we're going to do it, but the water that we've got is probably not enough. So we've already got one water storage that's being built, and I even want to build another water storage. Housing doesn't matter so much, but yeah, we probably do not have enough water storage. Stops working during heat waves and fallouts. I think water wells keep working, so we can probably build another well. That's about the best we're going to get. Bandits appear at the gate. And they want to trade something for a colonist, so you know what we will. We'll just rescue a random colonist, because we kind of need more colonists, quite frankly. After the last little fiasco. He's back in the plastic bag again now. Sam, you're a hooligan! He's obviously in play mode. He's hunting dice and plastic bags. He's not playing with the actual fish toy thing. Or the other little toys I've got for him, but, you know, the plastic bag and the dice, he'll play with those. Naturally. Cats! Not even once. Just don't. They'll just lull you into that false sense of security. This feels a bit like make work, by the way. This constantly having to click decontaminate, decontaminate. Of course, the more buildings you get, the more you have to do it. Also, we're going to want to... That's actually harvesting, I think. I'm going to harvest those just now. More stuff off the world map. We can safely send her in one more time, essentially. So that is antibiotics, I think. Yeah, use them during a plague. So, with the way you travel around the map, I mean, later on, once you have vehicles, I guess you can cluster up a group of specialists a lot more easily. But at the moment, you just kind of use whoever's to hand in terms of like attacking stuff or collecting science or just general scavenging, even though you might have somebody that's more effective at it. It's just, you know, they might be all the way over here, and the thing that you want them to go to is over here. So it sort of... It doesn't quite render it a useless system, it's just, for a long time, you just basically ignore it, because trying to optimise it really wouldn't work very well. Right. Did we harvest those in time? I don't think we did. They were set to be harvested. But as you can see, the yield will decrease. Yeah. I guess I wasn't quick enough? I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Also, right, our storage is up to 1500, but let's see how quickly it's decreasing. Basically, the consumption just goes way up. How are we doing for materials? Right, so we need wood. Wood is our bottleneck at the moment. That is actually quite hard to see whether... Right, is that now empty? I think so. It'd be nice if it gave you, like with these production buildings, if it gives you a symbol if the work area is empty, but with the kind of storage buildings that have a work area, it doesn't, unfortunately. So you just have to remember to check every so often. Right, there's some wood over there, so we'll set the work area there. And there's still a buried deposit there, but that's about to run out. Now, if we completely run out of water, people will start dying of thirst. That's obviously a kind of bad thing. Group of survivors out the gate. Well, this is obviously a great time for more survivors, but... what the hell? The more the merrier, right? Oh, it turned out to be an ambush. Turned out to be a trap. That can happen sometimes. Killed somebody. Oh, they've killed a specialist as well. Dun dun dun. Oh well. That's apparently a thing that can happen. Oh, we might as well just permanently have 2 gate guards. So, R.I.P. Mike. Specialist no longer. Almost out of water. Completely out of woods. I have actually set that to high priority, so I don't know how these have ended up getting wood delivered first. I don't know. So apparently the outhouse is getting a bit stinky. So it's entirely possible we're going to lose some people to thirst. Water is one of the few things that you cannot get from the world map. Right, let's give... Yep, there we go. We're getting just the last bit, but she definitely needs to go back now. Very slowly getting rid of something there. Antibiotics. And actually, there we go. So because she's a scientist specialist, or because she has a higher score in that regard, she can pick up a lot more research at once, essentially. So it's not that you get more research from the thing overall, it's just you need less trips to gather it, essentially. And there's another settlement who are relatively friendly. They have science available. I think, is that flax seeds? They have cattle and they have a car. I can't really trade with them just yet. Sam, what are you doing? Leave that alone. You bonkers cat. I'm starting to play with the wires behind the router, which would have not been a particularly, you know, not a thing I really wanted him to do just at that moment. Or any moment, really, to be honest. Right. I'm not sure there's too much left to show you in the span of this stream. I probably will do another one to show the more advanced stuff, but it's like there's nothing radically new or different about this game, essentially. It's a fun enough game, but, you know, you go through the tech tree, you've got the disasters, you upgrade your buildings, you upgrade your resources and sources of production, and yeah, there's no kind of grand story to it or anything like that. And I don't know if you can even really say there's a win condition. It's just eventually you keep going until you decide to stop playing. I mean, that's something they might add later, I suppose, where they might decide that, you know, you get a certain number of points for playing a certain amount of time, or for getting to a certain number of colonists. But yeah, it doesn't. Obviously, Surviving Mars kind of struggled with that at first, and then they added in like the terraforming, for example, and it gave you something to work towards that felt like the end game. Hooray, you've terraformed Mars, and yeah, you could keep playing beyond that point, but yeah, you really didn't have to. Like, fully out of water at this stage. We'll see how many people die. We'll wait for this disaster to end, and then I think we'll probably wrap the thing up, because this cat is increasingly annoying. Sam, I'm talking to you, Sam. Cats. Not even once. It's just not worth it. just because they're cute and fuzzy and stuff. Right, there we go, it's ended, so people fortunately not dying. Stockpile capacity. Work slots at the trapper, let's take that. That would actually be probably quite a useful thing. Cats. Anyway. Oh, gate under attack. Well, that happened to me. Okay, well, we need to repair the gate, but apparently we repelled them without any difficulty. And work area, that's fine. I don't know what's gotten into him. He really is just running around having a maddie. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's really bugging me. Right, yeah, I'm just waiting for more. Just waiting for more materials, basically. So, yeah, there's not a lot left to do or say at this point. More research, another car. So like I said earlier, it's definitely still, it feels still early access, but it's got some charm to it. And I can see giving a cautious recommendation to this at the point where it actually goes fully on sale, it comes out of early access. But if you're expecting some kind of hardcore, you know, full survival management game where it's completely punishing and realistic, this isn't that game. It really isn't. It very much is in the oeuvre of the Fallout games where it's all a bit kind of cartoony in terms of realism. But it's still fun enough. It's still fun enough. So yeah, I will wrap things up here, I think, just because it seems like a kind of a natural point to do so, honestly. And I guess I'll find you somebody to host? Or shall I just play? I'll just play out, actually. I'll just play out some music because I'm going to stick this up on YouTube as well so people can miss things. I've experimentally tried recording as I'm actually streaming and hopefully it's worked okay. Oh! Just as I say that, we're being raided. Scotsguard, who is a fellow warships person, not doing warships at all, and as I was saying to my own people, yeah, I am literally just finishing up my stream, but yeah, we've been looking at something a bit different, an early access city builder game that's kind of a bit Fallout themed. And once it comes out fully, once the modders get their hands on it, I'm sure there'll be some interesting stuff added as well. Yeah, it's always the way, isn't it? You go to raid somebody just as they finish. I've had that happen all too often myself. So, everybody that has joined me from the start, I hope you have enjoyed this. If there's anything you missed, I will put up the whole thing on YouTube, and like I said, I'll probably stream this again. I might play it a bit off stream just to get things a little bit more advanced so I can show what a more advanced colony looks like, and that will probably be a shorter stream. I might even just do that as a video that follows up this stream. That might be an easier way to do it because it'll obviously be a bit less to show off. But yeah, that's the meat of it. It's much like Surviving Mars. It's a fairly lightweight themed settlement builder game. There's nothing super duper hardcore about it. And in fact, honestly, the difficulty settings in Surviving Mars, you could ramp it up to be significantly more difficult than I think you can in this. But that might change. Still early access. So this has been me playing Surviving the Aftermath, which will come out a little bit later this year, I believe. And if you enjoyed this, you can find my Surviving Mars channel, my Surviving Mars videos on my channel, I think, including some old Livestream VODs as well. I'm sure I live streamed that when that first came out. And if you like the look of this game, I can also maybe recommend checking out Frostpunk and Banished, which do kind of similar things. So that's it for now. Hope you have a good evening wherever you are, and I will catch you next time.